Our planet is so fragile, our atmosphere is a very delicate phenomenon, and it may lose it, as the Mars and Phaethon had lost theirs. Scientists warn us about asteroids and large planets that expose the Earth to danger and may cause its burst, its split. But we do not think about it. We live carelessly, as if the world was stable, absolutely protected and preserved. At the same time, we feel unconfident about our future. Where is logic? Perhaps we should realize that we are not alone in the universe. We should realize there exist evidences that the Earth had been visited by aliens. Then consequently, the Earth is known and may be used as transfer station or stop in the vast space, in the galaxy, among constellations, in the universe. Many highly developed civilizations know about Earth, and we understand that such highly developed extraterrestrial civilizations do exist. I myself saw lots of people who know our planet is being visited, watched by aliens. I know people who personally saw aliens, and they are quite normal, people of sound mind. One should mention Air Force Base in Nevada. Contacts with aliens are suspected to take place there. The base is being a location of extraterrestrial craft landing. An acquaintance of mine told me about his relatives who live on the shore of Arctic Ocean. They regularly witness flying saucers taking off and landing into the ocean. NASA discovered strange objects near the Sun. It is supposed that the objects are capable to withdraw the Sun energy and utilize it for their own purposes. There exist evidences that the USA and the USSR closed their expensive lunar programs after they found alien bases on the backside of the moon. One of the most competent specialists whom we trust, Christopher Kraft, a former director of NASA, he revealed the following recording of negotiations between the Mission Control Houston Center and lunar mission Apollo 11. Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin speaking from the moon. Those are giant things. No, this is not an optical illusion. No one is going to believe this. Mission Control Houston Center. What else is happening? What's wrong with you, astronauts? They're here under the surface. What's there? A mission interrupted. Interference control calling. Apollo 11. Astronauts. We saw some visitors. They were there for a while, observing the instruments. Mission Control. Repeat your last information. I saw that there were other spacecrafts. They are lined up on the other side of the crater. Repeat. Have you picked up anything? I didn't have any film at hand. 3 shots of the saucers or whatever they were that were ruining the film. Control here. Are you on your way? Is the uproar with the UFOs over? They've landed there. There they are, and they are watching us. The mirror. Have you set them up? Yes, they are in the right place. But whoever made those spaceships surely can come tomorrow and remove them over and out. Apollo 16 mission. Charles Duke, Thomas Mattingly, and John Young watched a large oval-shaped object inside a crater, watched strange objects which moved along lunar highlights, made records of them, reported Mission Control in Houston. Duke, these devices are unbelievable. I'm not taking a gnomon up there. Young, okay, but man, that's going to be a steep bridge to climb. Imagine, you've invested a vast amount of money to build a house, and when the house was nearly ready, you suddenly stopped any activity. So did the USA. They spent big money for moon investigation programs and suddenly stopped all programs in spite of promising results. Huge data indicate close contacts between the USA and aliens, the USA placing the Air Force Base in Nevada at the disposal of the aliens. American ufologists claim the first contact between Earthmen and representatives of humanoids whose fleet was settled above the equator took place in 1954. The second meeting took place on Edwards Air Force Base in the presence of Eisenhower, then President of the USA. Both meetings were filmed and the recordings were preserved upon nowadays. The fact of the UFOs landing and taking off from Edwards Air Force Base was confirmed by astronaut Gordon Cooper in 1995. A mutual agreement between the USA government and aliens was reached. So that is a reality, and yet they do not seem willing to contact us explicitly. Perhaps there exist extraterrestrial rules of law, same with international rules of law, prohibiting that. Nevertheless, snakes worship had existed in majority of nations on Earth. That is a historical fact. The Chinese idolized dragon, the Africans worshipped Danbala, a rainbow snake, and so voodoo, the most powerful magic of our planet, capable to turn human being into a zombie. The Mexicans worship Kukulkan, the feathered serpent. Snakes are the favorite images of Australian Aborigines. Depictions of serpents are discovered on every continent, and everywhere they were worshipped. Perhaps only Russian heroic epic Belinas tells stories of fighting the dragon, Zmei-Gorыныch. This three-headed serpent wanted victims, and Russian heroes strove to protect their people. The following story was told by eyewitness who saw a remarkable underground storage of reptiles. The man was investigating adits driving into the sides of the Zhiguli Mountains. He got under a rock slide and found himself in a cave, long gallery, along which he was moving through for many hours. Throughout the whole underground way, he was moving along thousands of reptiles in anabiosis, frozen into the ice cubes. It was difficult to describe them accurately. First of all, I was driven by their heads, hanging over the body, big compound bulging eyes, big protrusion in the forehead, short, crooked hands pressed to belt. Ice cubes stretch along both sides of the cave, making unending corridor. When it split into two, the left one was again full of ice reptiles. Monsters in the right corridor were different, although also in ice cubes they were without the protrusion on their foreheads. Guides arranging tours around Zhiguli Mountains claim that at the Stalin's time, excavations were performed on one of the mountains, during which ice dinosaurs were found. After that, it was ordered to stop excavations. We may assume that reptiles warriors on the undergrounds of Samara region are waiting to come out. This story has something in common with The War of the Worlds by Herbert Wells. Apparently, hundreds of thousands of sleeping reptiles are waiting for a favorable opportunity to come out from the underground. This opportunity might be given to them by another visit of our planet by their congeners, Anunnaki, who travel on the space object called Nibiru. Here Nibiru appears on the scene. Zacharias Sitchin spoke a lot about this planet, which follows a long elliptical orbit, reaching the inner solar system roughly every 3,600 years. Many people believe this is a cosmic navigated ship. Sitchin found information about it, again, in Mesopotamia. The planet of crossing, which is the English for Nibiru, got its name due to a disposition of its orbit, which crossed the Earth orbit and orbits of other planets of the solar system. Direction of its movement is opposite to other planets. This historical information is being ridiculed, which is the most effective way to keep people from a critical, vital, often quite obvious information. Ridicule, sarcasm, skepticism is not even a humor. It's an intentional deed of making laughingstock. Yet historical evidences of Nibiru visiting the Earth does exist. Whether you believe ancient myths or not, scientific researchers indicate existence of the mysterious unknown planet in solar system. Year 1972. Joseph Brady, associate of the laboratory of the University of California, noticed an orbit's deflection of Halley's Comet as a result of influence of an unknown celestial body. According to his calculations, it could be a planet 5 times bigger by mass than the Earth and 3 times further from the Sun than Neptune, with orbital period of more than 500 years. Year 1981. Based on the data received from the spaceships Voyager, Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11, the group of scientists made a conclusion that there is a planet behind Pluto with orbital period more than 1,000 years. Astronomy magazine informs about it. Year 1982. Pictures made by artificial infrared satellite of the Earth were published in the New York Times and New Times. They captured a mysterious object that cannot be a comet. Scientists assume it could be either planet, similar to Uranus, or a dark star. It suggests that these two orbits arrange across, and they are not parallel. Cross is a favorite sign of Christianity. It should be noticed that on the Russian Orthodox Church domes, under the cross, we see a line crescent, but that is very unusual, because on Russian sky, crescent either looks like a letter C or letter P, depending on its being old or early, which means that crescent stands upright. And only recently crescent on the sky began to play, and sometimes now it does lie as on depiction of Christian Orthodox crosses. Ancient prophecies state that the end of the world and Nibiru will appear at the moment when crescents start to play. Let us stop looking under our feet and start looking at the sky. You will see many interesting things there. You will see many UFOs that move on the sky along irregular orbits, but people pay little attention to them. If the cross is symbol of Nibiru, then whom do Christians worship? Jesus Christ or Nibiru, the planet of reptiles who seeks to enslave the earth? Leo Tolstoy wrote, "It is absolutely fair that I have renounced the church, calling itself Orthodox. But I renounced it not because I revolted against Jesus Christ, but on the contrary, because I desired to serve him with all my soul. At the same time, I was convinced that the doctrine of the Orthodox Church theoretically is insidious and harmful lie, and practically is grossest superstitious and witchcraft that hides completely the whole meaning of the true Christian teaching. The information about the planet Nibiru came to us from Sumerian civilization. Here is an example of Sumerian magical ritual. First, Magus places all needful attributes on their places, then bows on 4 cardinals. Next, he fills horn with sacred sacrificial wine and performs a sacred anointing with fragrant oil. Then the master places idol of a deity on certain side of the cross, performs sacrificial hemorrhage of 4 drops of blood from the forefinger of his left hand in the ritual horn. After the magus makes 3 sips, he sprinkles 4 sides of the cross with the rest of the wine and stands in its middle. Cross idol on the cross, sacred wine, oil on the forehead. Doesn't it remind you anything? Doesn't it seem that we're all being used by evil forces, hidden under the mask of a good? Widely known are the bloody crusades, religious wars, inquisition, propagation of faith by fire and sword. In our time, the faith is also being propagated by the force, not by fire and sword, of course, but with the help of psychological pressure methods, to frighten, to make ashamed, saying like, if you're against the church and its deeds, then you're against Jesus Christ. Now we are only making a review, a logical chain of events that we have to understand, to comprehend at what point of this logical chain we are now. For the planet Nibiru, where Anunnaki, reptiles live, I would say is a planet of satanic level of development. It demands sacrifices constantly. This planet has dominated the Earth. Why gold is so valuable on Earth? Because gold was constantly withdrawn from the Earth for Nibiru, because it was necessary to preserve the Nibiru's atmosphere. Historian esoteric Alexander Filatov supports this version in his research works. When ecological problems on Nibiru began, Anunnaki, the inhabitants of Nibiru, started to spray earthly gold within its atmosphere in order to protect the planet. 100,000 years old gold mines were found in Africa in 1970. Mentioned earlier, David Icke's theory about people snakes was confirmed by other researchers. Noel Huntley, in his book ETs and Aliens, Who Are They and Why Are They Here, wrote about 500,000 Anunnaki visited Earth once every 3,600 years. They carried on experiments aiming to create hybrids with people. Experiments were successful, and obtained hybrids possessed great intelligence compared to humans, but lacked in spirituality, giving rise to a heavily materialistically oriented society. When Nibiru approaches the Earth, the former affects electromagnetic field of the Earth, causing a shift of the Earth's crust relatively to the Earth's core. Filatov states that was the reason of numerous cataclysms and unusual global phenomena, including events described in the Bible, when the sun was staying at the zenith for about a day, the Great Flood, the sea parted in front of Israelis. His researches are supported with calculations based on the Sumerian prints and other ancient evidences. Do you remember Death Star from the Star Wars? It was a navigated planet and weapon in the hands of dark forces, and it conquered new worlds. Science fiction writers, being keen people, often describe true events. For example, Jules Verne described the submarine. Herbert Wells described the settlement of soldiers, aliens, under the ground. Alexander Belayev described the effect of psychogenerators hypnotizing people on the distance. According to one of versions, Nibiru is a navigated ship. Its trajectory is artificial and aimed on the Earth, which is understandable because it moves contrary to the laws of gravity, and we cannot call it a natural satellite of the Sun. Nibiru is similar in description to the Death Star from the movie Star Wars. It brings death, and we have to defend ourselves from it. Planet Nibiru is seriously ill because it's a planet killer, and killers have inexorable fate and will be inevitably punished by universe. Now it tries to survive at the cost of the Earth by absorbing its energy, its humanity, and I think even its atmosphere, because Nibiru has problems exactly with atmosphere. Only we can protect our planet from disappearance. This three-headed dragon arrives on the Earth regularly for the tribute, souls and gold. Planet Nibiru flying to the Earth is exactly the last judgment. It means that high ethical law will now decide who wins this battle. Either the evil, the serpenter, or good, humanity. Humanity to whom teachers were sent constantly, and who constantly destroyed them. We are talking about Buddha who was poisoned, about Jesus Christ who was crucified, about many teachers whom grateful humanity persecuted for their selfless labor. St. Sergius of Radonezh was forced to leave his cloister because monks literally hounded him to death. This is the attitude of undeveloped people toward highly developed Holy Spirits. And those who enslave people and implicitly kill them became objects of worship, idols for these undeveloped people. I think idols are mostly dangerous for our society today. Prince William's wedding was broadcast all over the world. More than 2 billion TV viewers were involved in this event that had nothing to do with them. Thousands of people came to London to stay at this advertised show, wedding of people who had already had extramarital relationships for 10 years, violating all norms of morality. What was all that story around the royal family for? Through the mass hysteria of idealizing, vital energy of people may be stolen. There are many idols in our modern world. Show business, actors and politicians, businessmen and sportsmen became our icons, idols of worship. They are even called style icon, sex symbol, the most beautiful, rich, successful. At the same time, these people are far from being sane and objectively do not deserve idealization. But when a person devotes his life to an idol, he gives him his soul and vital energy. One more piece of information came from official sources, from astronomers. They detected 3 cosmic ships flying to our planet, which have to arrive at the same time. Certainly, it is not telling us about high civilization that could arrive on these ships, because December the 21st, 2012 is exactly the day of retribution, the time of reaping, absorbing of victims. Non-governmental organizations Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or SETI, detected 3 giant cosmic ships approaching the Earth at a full speed. According to SETI's information, these flying objects have been known for quite a while. But now, the US government conceals these facts and tries to prevent this information from spreading. By visiting the website skypemap.org and entering coordinates, you can make sure that objects do exist. According to SETI's collaborators, the threat of aliens invasion is very real. Nevertheless, NASA is carefully concealing this important information from the public. Who is interested? Who stands behind this organization? The conclusion that there are people on the Earth who represent interests of unfriendly aliens is fully justified. We all know that the world consists of good and evil, and space is not an exception. Just as sea is reflected in a drop of water, cosmic principles of the universe are reflected on the Earth. Let us take a look at the drawing of a child who is absolutely unfamiliar with the subject of aliens invasion. The drawings depict cosmic ships that occupy the Earth, and aliens, obviously hostile. They hold black objects resembling a bomb. And children's mouths speak the truth. An excerpt from the article Civilization of Rational Reptiles that was published in Miracles, Puzzles, Mysteries magazine number 5 of 2007 confirms that in 1972, Soviet specialists carried out geological surveys at the request of Chile government. Background examination of a copper mine located high in the mountains and abandoned in 1945 was undertaken. This mine had a bad reputation among locals. The area, according to the peasants, was chosen by giant snakes with human heads. Soviet specialists brushed aside the mystics and went to explore the area. Surprises began almost from the beginning. Heavy gates closing the entrance were broken not from the outside but from the inside. A winding trail was led out of the gates as if a wide hose was pulled out from the depth of the mountain. In about 100 meters, cramped tunnel led them in underground mines with veins of the native copper. Near some used veins, there were hills of copper bars resembling ostrich eggs by the size and shape. After geologists made a couple more steps, they noticed a serpentine mechanism about 1 meter in diameter, which was left at the wall of the mine in order to literally suck copper out of the rock. People had not enough time to admire this miracle machinery. Creatures that looked like huge toothy snakes about 2 meters long appeared like out of nowhere. Snakes hissing threateningly, intending to attack people. Reports of Soviet geologists about the abandoned mine in Chile were read as a science fiction story. Don't toothy snakes remind you a picture of the 5-year-old child? that we just saw. They say that children under 5 years contact the evolution field of the Earth, which is natural clairvoyance. Did the child see these particular snakes? Already now the United Nations suggests to introduce a position of cosmic ambassador. This job has to be taken by astrophysicist from Malaysia, Mazlan Otma. She announced that it is very important to develop a detailed protocol on the case of the contact with aliens. On her opinion, such contacts is very possible. In England, aliens greeting associations are being established now. Are we going to greet reptiles like gods? What happens on December the 21st in 2012 depends on you and us. I just read a newspaper that 3 ships have already crossed the orbit of Pluto. But who talks about it? Who out of my acquaintances worries about it? Nobody. Because at the same time we hear, do not believe, this is nonsense, an optical illusion. Yet recently in the internet sky map, at the place where Nibiru is to be seen, we discovered a cutout square. Who is holding back this information? In 2007, the telescope at the South Pole photographed a red object. Supposedly it was Nibiru. Its coordinates were published in the internet. Users discovered that after entering these coordinates into Google Sky website, you would see only black square, roughly cut off from the stellar map. It means that the most important information is being intentionally covered up. Approaching of the huge, 5 times bigger than the Earth, red planet will influence our planet and everyone on it greatly. Modern society elite takes seriously predictions about the Day of Judgment and build cataclysm-proof shelters. It is known that in the Mount Yamantau, the Urals, underground city is being built with all usual infrastructure, communication and life support system. The city is designed for comfortable stay of about 50,000 people and, if necessary, may accommodate up to 300,000 people. People will be able to live there up to 6 months absolutely independently without coming out on the surface. This picture was taken during the sun monitoring. NASA usually explains it as abstraction, but this picture was obviously edited. It is a standard policy to slur over with black squares everything that people are not supposed to see. Comet Elenin or Nibiru. NASA knew about existence of the object, now known as Comet Elenin, long before it was discovered by Elenin. On 25th of May 2010, NASA released details of celestial vault examination by infrared telescope WISE. More and more asteroids and comets can be seen. Compare the position of the planets and Comet Elenin on May the 10th, 2010. NASA provides us with real-time data about researchers, but doesn't explain much. According to official information, Comet Elenin was found by Leonid Elenin on December the 10th, 2010 on the pictures provided by Russian Observatory in New Mexico, the USA. Next day, the data were confirmed by astronomers from different countries. Right after the discovery, we observed a surge of interest of the internet community to this object. Media and Elenin himself would call that a mass hysteria. However, if Elenin was so persistently compared to Planet X, there must have been reasons. According to the data of Spanish astronomers, Elenin's orbit was constantly changing in characteristics, and only in 2 days on April, its diameter increased by more than 30%. Picture of the comet dated January the 3rd, 2011 shows that with a tail it had a size of only 15 arcseconds, and already on the picture of the April the 8th, 2011, the size of the comet's gas tail increased about 10 times. Perhaps, judging by the Comet Elenin's size, it might be a brown dwarf star. But if it is so, Comet Elenin influences the planetary motion in the solar system significantly. Comet Elenin's significant dates: the year 2011, August the 3rd, Elenin will cross the Earth orbit. August the 18th, the comet will intersect the Venus orbit. September the 10th, the comet will reach perihelion, the closest point to the Sun. September the 25th, the Sun, Earth and Comet Elenin will be along one line. October 16th, Comet Elenin will cross Earth's orbit and reach its perigee to the Earth. Another remarkable date is that of the last alignment of Comet Elenin, Earth and Sun, in December the 21st, 2012. These are not ordinary astronomical phenomena, but the final phase of interaction with civilization hostile to us. A lot of religions and ancient cults that still exist prove it. They worship reptiles such as snakes and dragons, and have many bloody immolation cults, and these monsters are close already. In 2012, several great cosmic events are waiting for our planet. Vladimir Janibekov, a Russian cosmonaut, observing movements of ordinary screw in a spacecraft cabin, discovered an interesting effect. Under zero gravity, a rotation body changes the axis of rotation in a strictly defined time intervals, making an about turn. At the same time, the center of masses of the body continues uniform and rectilinear motion. The cosmonaut assumed that such strange behavior is characteristic for our planet also, because the Earth is also body rotating under zero gravity. According to Janibekov's discovery, our planet is going to change its poles. A wave emanated by the planet, many scientists discuss forthcoming poles displacement. There exists so-called Schumann's frequency, a wave emanated by the planet as its heartbeat. The rhythm of the Earth has specific frequency of 7.8 Hz. For a long period, Schumann's frequency was so stable that military adjusted their instruments to it. However, recently this frequency started to grow, and in 1994 it became 8.6, in 1999 11.2, and at the end of 2000 it was about 12 Hz. It is assumed that when the Schumann's frequency reaches 12 Hz, poles displacement will take place. What prophecies refer to as the last judgment, cosmic terminology consider as transition of the Earth to a new turn of the cycle. At the moment of winter solstice in 2012, the Sun finishes a turn around the center of Pleiades, star system which lasts 26,000 years. In 1847, German astronomer John Heinrich von Mädler, on the basis of observations, concluded that our Sun belongs to Pleiades system and revolves around its central star. The system is located in the Orion arm of our Milky Way galaxy and revolves around the center of the galaxy. The forthcoming date is even more significant. Nearly simultaneously, the Pleiades will complete their rotation around the center of galaxy, which takes 230 million years, and our galaxy will complete the infinitely and immeasurably long period of revolution around the center of the universe. The 3 turns of a cycle will be complete simultaneously. An event of such scale is truly enormous and has never been experienced by the Earth. Only evolutionary turns of smaller scale have happened, and even they caused huge animal populations disappearance, dramatic climate changes, continent shifts. All prophets of the mankind predicted this forthcoming event and called people to live pious lives in order to deserve living in coming golden age. It's now high time to realize we got so little time and so much to change in our life. We should take the responsibility for our future and stop building trust in exhortation. Today we remind a drunk man who cannot concentrate and orientate in situations. We remind a man who fell asleep in a snowdrift and is dying there. We are immobilized. We don't understand what is going on. Let us realize it, and then we'll have a chance. I'm sure Nibiru is not the only one interested in our planet. The Earth is a tasty morsel and planet with a big potential. Not all the planets are good indeed. And now the Earth is on the threshold of exam, the last judgment. 3 spaceships are flying to our planet, and Nibiru is also approaching. And great celestial armies of Michael the Archangel and Master Maitreya are ready to help us. According to Buddhist philosophy, Maitreya unites the 6th race of mankind, gathering light, fiery, white army under his flag. Good and evil are now fighting on our planet, and all the teachings say that no one will be allowed to stand aside from this battle. Agni Yoga states polarization is happening. It means every person is to realize his moral principles and to choose whether he is with light or with darkness. Whether you realize it or not, you are to choose. And I hope you understand now that unity is the only way to defeat the evil. Choose with whom you are united. Choose the way to go and fight. By sitting comfortably at home during disastrous time, enjoying favorable food, listening to music, you set yourself on way to the death. The fire that is coming to surround our planet will burn selfish, lazy, and coward people. But for the pure, strong people, this fire will be as a big present, like physical healing procedure, opening new aptitudes, health and rejuvenation, because the golden age will bring new mode of life, and it needs happy, kind, and beautiful people. Every person has to realize himself a resident of space, as he realizes himself as a resident of country, understands his place in his country and place of the country in the international field. Every inhabitant of the Earth must understand that the Earth is not the only intelligent civilization in the space. Planet as a country has its own history of development and death. Many countries on the Earth perished when reached the deadlock in social relationship. Planets which reach deadlock are doomed to death also. That was the fate of Phaethon and Mars, our neighbors in the solar system. Unless we realize the principle of downfall, analyze reasons of downfall of countries and civilizations, we take a great risk to repeat all the mistakes. Let's learn from the mistakes of others. Today we face the utmost crisis throughout the Earth's history. We have to make a choice, though like children we do not realize it. A meeting with alien civilization is a great exam for humankind. Typical character traits that turn us away from problem solving and consequently to the death are narrow-mindedness, unwillingness to consider information unless we realize it concerns us personally, unwillingness to take responsibility, and inclination to rely on maybe and perhaps. These are all about parasitism. And parasitism of population of our planet has already reached global scale. There is universal law, similar attracts similar. What is approaching the Earth and what is already on the Earth? Snakes and people snakes. To deny that global changes are advancing on a full scale is impossible anymore. The question today is whether we can orientate and diminish danger threatening to the Earth. Since the planet is common, we have to act all together, the whole humankind. We accepted enslavement. That is why Nibiru has power over us. Similar attracts similar. Evil attracts evil. Good attracts good. The only thing that can save us is struggle for justice in our lives and an appeal to the power of high civilizations, because they do exist and they are waiting for our appeal. For according to the ethical laws, it is not allowed to intervene in people's destiny without their request. According to all ancient prophecies, Lord Maitreya is to lead people through apocalypse. But to call him to help, people have to pray constantly, or better, simultaneously, once an hour. We have strength of mind, thoughts, feelings, power of psychic energy. We can create a protection if we unite in action and in the noble, lofty impulse of prayers to the divine world. We have to ask for forgiveness for ourselves and for the nation. After all, we reap the fruits of our own mistakes, our laziness, indifference. We have to pray for salvation of our country and for the salvation of the whole planet. There were many battles in our history when the collective prayer made a miracle and we won. It is time to show heroism in the spirit. Let's read the same verse, silently or out loud, everywhere and every hour. We must ask the heaven, shouting loud, and limb of the devil will be blast out, and fire of heavens will hit every snake. Great love for the world is going to wake. Maitreya, my Lord, give us your breath to save our planet, the earth from the death Give us your legions from heaven down here. We are waiting for miracles, praying so clear. We can state the law on the earth now and here. Reptiles are burning. They'll never be here. Political party Voля suggests the following steps to restore social justice in Russia. We must achieve the resignation of government that destroys Russia. The party holds nationwide referendum. An authority that people do not trust is illegitimate. The president violated his oath. We do not trust this government and elections it conducts. We claim forthcoming election illegal because only registered political parties are allowed to participate, but they involve only 2% of population. Therefore, interests of the remaining 98% of citizens are not represented by any authority. The cancellation of turnout threshold and the option against all deprive us of right to protest against candidates imposed on us by government. Under such conditions, elections are anti-democratic and are to be declared illegal, not valid.
Голосуй за открытые, не электронные выборы. Даже организаторы не в силах их сфальсифицировать. Нам нужны кандидаты от народа без преемственности той политики.
The main weapon of the destroyers of Russia is suppression and hypocrisy. Our weapon is the exposure of lies and informing people.
Разоблачение лжи, информирование народа. Говори о происходящем всем и везде. Распространяй листовки партии Воля. Образцы листовок на сайте. С миру по нитке. Партии Воля нет олигархов. Мы за вас, а вы за нас.
Ты часть пространства мира, ты планета. Ты сила неба, солнца и времен. Ты потерял себя в пространстве где-то и найден тьмою ей и очернен. И вот подмены тайной не заметив, наивно ожидая всех даров, бессильны стали люди все на свете, не помня чувств божественных и слов. И вот подмены просто не заметив, наивно ожидая всех даров, бессильны стали люди все на свете, не помня чувств божественных и слов. Огромно небо, не найдешь границы, в нем ветра, света, звезд и облаков. И мы вольны, как поднебесья птицы, лететь вперед или ждать земных кормов. Однажды ты поймешь, дай Бог, не поздно, что все пространство — это Бог и ты, что ждут внимания от тебя все звезды, и ты — творец божественной мечты.